Yo, yo, yo. Hey, are you thinking about buying a fence, having one installed at your house? Well, my wife and I recently did this. It's not my first time having this done. So here's some tips that I have for you about doing this. My name's Mark Buckner. I'm with the Mark Buckner Group at Compass Realty. And here on this channel, I talk about living in Chicago, buying, selling, investing, and maintaining real estate in Chicago. So let's get into our tips, right? So first tip, number one, is determining what's the goal or the purpose of your fence. For us, we wanted some privacy, but still wanted to be able to see what's going on the outside of the fence when we're in our backyard. So we have an alley, so we opted for kind of like this semi-privacy where I can see what's going on the outside of the backyard, but still have some sense of privacy. We went with this planks of the cedar wood for that privacy. Is your style for privacy, for security, you got pets you want to keep in, or is it just aesthetics? You're looking for a certain design for your landscape, whatever it may be. Two, be sure to check with your city or your village about the rules and regs regarding installing a fence. Where I'm at, we required a building permit, then we required ComEd and Peoples Gas, our utility providers, to come out and mark the ground where they have power lines and gas lines, so when we're digging for our post, we're not hitting anything, right? So safety first. Tip number three that I would recommend is determining your style of fence, right? So we have a colonial style home. What would be perfect for our house would be a picket fence. But since we wanted some privacy, we didn't go with the picket fence. We went with the panels and then the lattice, which I think is really kind of complements the style of house. Now you can pick different types of materials, right? We went with cedar, there's vinyl fencing, there's just iron fencing. I love steel and iron. If my landscape was different, I probably would have did an iron, but given where my landscape is, we went with the cedar fence. I'm not a huge fan of the vinyl. That's a personal preference or style. I like something that's more organic and going to complement the landscape. Then it's also is picking out what materials. Vinyl would last me longer. I went with cedar. One is I like the look of it and I like how it ages. So it'll start to go gray, complement the trees that I have in the backyard, which will be nice, really nice. But I went with steel post. I had another fence that I put in 10 years ago. The post rotted out because the wood part sits 36 inches below the ground. And so soil, water, frost, that's all gonna rot it out. If I would have did the steel post 10 years ago, I probably would have just had to replace the panels. So for a longer term investment, we went with the steel. I love the black, I love the caps of it. So when these rot out, hopefully I don't have to replace the posts and I'm just replacing a panel. So it'd be a lot more cost effective. When you are thinking about getting the fence installed, you wanna know how they're going to install it also. In Chicago, we have 4 seasons, temps get below freezing, and if your post isn't below frost level, which is 36 inches below grade, frost will happen and will push that post up. So when your installers installing them, make sure they're getting those 36 inches for you. Tip number 4 is determining what type of gates you want. So for our alley, we wanted a taller gate. We're gonna do the same style to give us that more of a privacy look. But for our entrance into the front yard, I like to be able to see my guests when they're coming over, and I want my guests to be able to see like, hey, is he in the backyard, what's going on, but not have my gate open. So we're gonna go with a 5-foot gate so you can look out. In here, we took the post taller because we're gonna have a crossbar, almost like defining the entrance, not just with the gate, but with framing out that gate. I hope it turns out really, really nice. I think it's going to. Me personally, this is the debate between my wife and I would have wanted a lattice gate to get more transparency, but she really wants the privacy. She's winning that argument. Pick and choose your battles with your wife. That's not one I'm gonna go to battle on. Tip number 5, budget. Oh my God. So once you know your style, once you know the materials, then get at least 3 proposals and try to compare apples to apples, right? And you may find out this Getting the proposals will help determine your budget. You'll find out like steel post was too expensive. I priced it out with steel post and wooden post. I weighed the pros and cons. I'm more of a long-term maintenance-free prevention, get the biggest bang out of my buck. So I overspent with the steel post for that longevity of the fence. But it helped me determine, and I compared 3 different vendors, their details, make sure, do they haul the dirt away? Do they haul the old fence away if you had one? Look at the fine print, look at the details, make sure they're insured, make sure they're licensed, and then sign on that contract. You have more questions about fence? Give me a call, happy to chat. I love this stuff, I geek out on it. And if you like what I'm talking about here, please hit the subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified every time we post a new video.